Hello and welcome. My name is Gavin Weber. This is the Onement podcast, and today I'm going to be talking about the search for oneness through the pandemic, through 2020 and into 2021, getting through COVID-19, politics, life, all of it. To be more transparent, that's what this oneness movement is all about. And what I mean by that is I want to teach love, teach oneness, connect, learn, remember, share the idea of oneness. And I'm sharing my journey toward that. And I know that's happening right now, but I admit I'm not having all the time that experience of oneness, my connection with God, no separation, absolute love. So I'm allowing what I'm being called to do and share and be. And so this topic today is something I meditated on this morning. It came to me like, hey, what can serve? What can help? What do I need to teach and learn myself and get clarity on? And what's something that other people could relate to, connect with, what they're going through. And so here we are. Now, I have some ideas of some things I'm going to talk about, yet I'm encouraging myself to be a little bit more free-flowing, not planning, and allow Spirit to come through me to guide this conversation. And so it's always interesting of what happens with that. Brings up a lot of fear, of vulnerability, and oh my gosh, what am I going to say? What am I going to put out there? Is it going to be embarrassing? Is it going to, have people judge me? And I am inspired. I've talked about this in the past before, Kenneth Clifford with Get Real. He does a weekly show on Thursdays, and he's just always very transparent, open, shares his stories, and it's entertaining and helpful, and I can relate. And also everything David Hoffmeister, one of the big things I listened to the other day is, at their community is, basically no secrets, no people pleasing, and, not hiding the thoughts and the feelings and the guilt that is within us, so we can kind of let that go. So today, transparency about the last year, how I've navigated it, things I'm doing to come from joy, be peaceful, experience who I really am, create miracles, and live a life of oneness to the best of my ability in this perceived body. So I think the best way to start, I'm going to readjust this microphone so it's close to me. If you haven't been here before, again, you can watch this video. It's a podcast, so it's more designed to be listened to. Eventually, hopefully by now, if you're listening to this, I'll have this on some other things that, Spotify and Apple and podcasts, since it's called a podcast. But right now, just keeping it to YouTube because that seems more downhill. Yet, I'm going to be interviewing people. I'm going to be doing traditional podcasts, but right now it's kind of almost an interview with myself, talking to you, and again, allowing to come up what needs to come up. So this past year, wow, right? For wherever you're at, any part of the world, I think everybody has been greatly affected by the coronavirus. The other thing that's interesting about it is everybody has an opinion on the best way to handle it. Masks, no mask, vaccine, no vaccine. Government, help, no governmental in government and help. The list goes on, right? And we all have, our opinions of what it should look like. What is the best way? What we want to see happen, okay? And I'll come back to that. And I want to start about this time last year. Today is March 14th. This is about when the proverbial crap hit the fan last year and sports started going away and things started shutting down. The fear was, rising greatly. People didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what this was. People were scared. I remember I went to the grocery store and I was like, and a lot of people weren't even wearing masks yet, but I had a mask on. I had all this, I live in California. I had all this winter gear on. You couldn't recognize me. I had sunglasses. I mean, it was ridiculous. But that's the example of the unknown, the fear. Didn't know, right? And I was going to get food for my family and felt like I was protecting myself and them. And now a year later, hindsight, I look back and it's like, yeah, I understand why I did that, but a lot of fear there, a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of participating in the illusion, right? Which is fine, no judgment. So I have a very traditional life, and I think a lot of people watching this video do too. They've gone to school, maybe go to college, gotten a job, possibly raising a family, trying to pay the bills, sparkle that with some things that they really enjoy, and maybe some vacations, family experiences, fun with friends on Friday and Saturday nights or the weekend. To some level of variation, I'm sure you can relate to that. So when it got shut down, and I live in San Diego, quite frankly, I wasn't happy about it happening, but for those, I think about 6 weeks where it really shut down here in California, it was pretty blissful for me. And what I mean by blissful was my day involved waking up and not having to do anything. Eventually, every maybe 4 or 5 days, we'd go to the grocery store and wash them off. But I didn't have any work to do. I do construction design work and help people design their front yards and their backyards and consulting on that. And I didn't have to do that. And it's a job that pays the bills. I actually enjoy many facets of it. But if I'm being transparent, there's a lot of it that is very mundane, very monotonous. And a few months ago, it was hard. There was tears one morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I living my life? Am I experiencing my truth? Or am I just participating in the illusion of fear, thinking I have to do this because I have a family and I have a lifestyle that I don't want to take away from them? And so those 6 weeks, I got to get up and I was posting on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, the.Onement. And I would meditate every morning and I was eating pretty healthy. And then I'd go for walks by myself. I'd go with walks with my wife. And there was nothing that had to be done because I couldn't really do anything. Couldn't really go anywhere. Now, the other side of that was couldn't really be out with friends, couldn't be close to other people, very isolated. And, that wasn't fun. Having things taken away from us felt like a lack of freedom, felt like injustice, felt wrong, felt unfair. And I'm not going to go into this in this video, but our family has had some difficult experience with vaccines. So our mind immediately went to judgment about what this was all about and what could happen and laws and forced vaccinations and what people know and what they don't know about it and the real story. And, we fall into the same trap of thinking we know and other people don't too. But our experience is different than other people from the past within things in our family. So, we started kind of buying into everything that was happening, and it caused a lot of anger. It caused a lot of heartache. And it was this past year, what I would like to share is I feel like what I've realized looking back, I feel like for years and decades, like my number one thing that I knew was missing and that I wanted was to experience love, to experience truth, to experience oneness, to understand that I'm like one with God, to not have problems, to understand that all is well, to, be in joy and peaceful. Because most of my experience, my life, has been on have to do's, or the consequences worse than not doing it. I have to work. I have to go to school. I have to make money. I have to, do chores and the list. There's a long list. You know what I'm talking about. And I bought into that forever. But I knew that, gosh, this can't be it. It can't be you go through all this stuff that everybody chases materialism and stuff and money, and that somehow that's going to bring a safety. But if you don't have money, you're scared you don't have money and you can't eat and pay your bills. And if you have money, you're scared you're going to lose it and you feel like you need more because the next level will make the difference. That an extra 10,000, 100,000, million, whatever that'll make you happy, right? And it doesn't, right? And it's some people realize that, some people just chase forever and participate in changing their outer world in order to find that peace and happiness on their inner world. And it just doesn't work that way. And so I had this longing for so long to not have that experience anymore. And yet my day-to-day, hour-to-hour, was still participating in the norm of what I knew, what felt safe, what felt peaceful, what I was supposed to do, my identity, father, husband, employee, entrepreneur in some cases. And so that's what I did. And then the pandemic hit and everything changed. Not everything, but a lot of things were taken away from me. All the things that I felt like I had to do were still kind of there, but all the things that made the have to do's seem like they were worth it were taken away. Cruises, vacations, experiences out, time with friends, limited or completely removed from my life. And I was faced to have to deal with my feelings, to deal with my judgments about myself, to look at the world and its reality. And so this past year, although it's been extremely frustrating, it's been extremely painful, it is such a blessing. I have so much reluctant gratitude for it, is what I would call it. It's like I know it was good in so many ways for what I want to experience of truth and reality. Yet, oh man, it was just hard. And I think that's the thing, is when I've realized in the past, when things are going the way I want and the way I planned and the goals that I set, it's like I'm winning. I'm Charlie Sheen. I'm like winning, and I got this figured out. What's everybody's problem? This is nothing, right? And that's all a facade. That's all just like my ego going, yes, stay in this world. It'll be fine. It'll be good. It's better. And then, everybody experiences the contrast of that at one point or another. A couple things don't go the way. And then oh my gosh, like I didn't make as much money, or I couldn't do that. And so that wasn't fun. So if that's not fun and I can't do that, why am I doing this? Why am I sacrificing my time doing something I don't want to do to have a couple things in here and there that bring me joy? And what this last year has forced me to do is realize that the joy never came from that. Like a lot of that joy, like the vacations, the drinks out with friends, whatever it may be, were really like the temporary experience of escape that felt free, that felt fun, that I thought brought me joy. But it was just like, oh, I'm getting to avoid what I'm experiencing in this world that usually is not fun, that's stressful, that doesn't make me happy. And when it's all taken away from you, you can kind of look at that and be like, oh my gosh, like people talk about, okay, wait, going back to normal. Like for me, this creation, this illusion, this dream was never about going back to normal. And that's the weird thing, like to be transparent, to share. It's like, that scares me to say that, because the past and what I've known up to this point is normal, safe, what I thought I wanted, and not having like those pursuits, those goals scares the crap out of me, because like the unknown feels unsafe. And for me, and I talk a lot about A Course in Miracles, because for me, that's like the path that has like shown me steps, has given me answers, has like, it's not just conceptual, it really teaches like, hey, this is what you can do. This is the way out. That I'm joining my mind back to reality, back to God, and not worrying about what my will is for what I perceive as happening in the world to then feel safe, and joining with God's will. And joining with God's will is not about participating in the dream and the illusion. It's not making all this stuff real. It's not, I'm born, I grow up, I'm raised, I go to school, I go to college, I get a job, I have a family, my kids have a family, I participate in that a little bit, and then I die. Like, this world is about death. And I feel like everybody does their best to avoid thinking about that. Like, oh, I don't want to think about that. Yeah, we're all going to die. So YOLO. I mean, that's what I always love saying to my family, YOLO, right? And it's more not, you only live, like the once concept. It's about that we're all going to die. And that's not spirituality. That's not oneness. That's not A Course in Miracles. We're eternal. We're never going to die. But we think we're in these bodies. We think we're experiencing, or that like illnesses like COVID-19 can hurt us. And that like, I mean, think about this. Like the fear and action that, oh my gosh, if we get it, we might be okay. But then if we're around other people, they may not be okay, and we might hurt them or even kill them. Is that not the ultimate illusion of fear? And like sickness is the beginning, like thought towards like that we could die, right? And ultimately, we're all scared of like dying, even though we all know we're going to, but we don't know when. And then the question is, do we ever really live? And that's what I've asked myself over this last year. Like, have I been living the life that I came here to live? And I think this is the part, like if my wife, which I doubt she'll watch this, but that's not a disparaging comment. It's just, I put a lot of stuff out there. And my kids ever watch this, like, I would feel guilty, like, oh, dad was unhappy, or, the life that we gave him, like, is not the one he wanted. And that's not it at all. Like, they have brought me so much joy. They have been my biggest teachers. They have taught me so many concepts about love and the experience of that. Yet, participating in the illusion of fear, of pain, of hardship, of sickness, of illness is a struggle, is stressful. And that's not what I want. And I really struggle to how to be in this world, but not of it, right? And to like live as Jesus did, to just love people, to, live in the moment, to create miracles by undoing the illusion. Not miracles of like, oh, look at me, but illusions of that fear that I think is happening is not. And in this moment, it can be healed, it can be undone, and the experience of oneness with God can be had again. And then what looks like miracles are caused by that. But really what's happening is like the undoing of the illusion and truth then transpiring. That's it. And so my mind more and more of this last year is like, look at what you've experienced. Look at your choices. Look at what you've bought into. Does it have to be that way? Does it have to be about bills and taxes and politics and who you want in here and who you think's better and your governor this and that? Look at those states and, we're going to Florida here in a few weeks because it's more open, and it's my daughter's a senior in high school, which has been extremely hard to watch everything ripped from her of what seniors get to experience, and just college applications, and it goes on and on. You're experiencing the same thing in the same way of feeling like things are being taken from you. But what I keep sharing with my daughter, and really I'm sharing it to myself, is like, it's already worked out. It's, to use her like experience, she's going to go to the school she was meant to go to. She's going to have the experience that she was meant to have for what she's calling forth, to discover her divinity, to live the life she was supposed to live. And I'm letting go of what it's supposed to look like. And for me, it's getting easier. That's like my new ego thing, is how hard it is to watch other people suffer, to have a tough experience. And I'm learning to forgive that too, to let that go too, to understand that that's not real either. It's just another trick of the mind to make all this stuff real, make us disconnect, separate from God, from love, and then like personify and act, and create that out onto this picture or dream of this world, to then wander aimlessly, losing hope, getting some wins here and there, but like missing the whole boat, missing the whole point. I'm a really big believer in life's about experiences, okay? Yet my trouble with that is that I said this the other day to my family, or I think it was my wife and my daughter. I was like, but I have to have the job and make the money to go have the experiences. Like, that's still my mindset. Like, even when the words came out of my mouth, I was like, that's an interesting thing. Like, I still have belief in lack. I still like have belief in guilt that like I could hurt them by changing, my way of making money. And the pandemic has had me look at all of this, because had it not happened, I'd still be doing the exact same thing. I would be spending most of my day doing things that don't bring me joy, distracting myself, and then using that way that I choose to make money, give an excuse to go do some fun things, and then feel like I'm good. trick myself into thinking all is well and not ever achieving the whole point for my truth. And so I feel like the pandemic has given us all the opportunity to wake up, to look at, did we like our life? Were we experiencing our truth? Were we understanding how to love? Did we get the oneness factor, that there is no separation and that everything that appears to be happening in the world is within us and can be changed and can be viewed differently, can be forgiven, can be perceived in a new manner that changes the whole perspective of who we are. And I feel like it's a collective calling that I know our minds aren't separate, but in the fragmentation of that experience of separation, this is like the opportunity to awaken together. Hence, that's what the oneness is all about. Like the Onement movement, the Onement, a oneness movement that like we get to remember and learn the idea, the understanding, and the truth of our truth. Take a deep breath into that. And we get to do it together. We don't have to do it alone. I've been extremely lonely. I know a lot of people. I'll say that. I have a lot of people I would call friends. I have a couple good friends. These aren't conversations I have with them. And I wanted to attract, find, teach, open myself up to more people who are searching for the same thing, who can relate, who want to get through this illusion and this dream in a way that's so much less painful and irritating and scary and not fun, all part of the process that we've made up. So this last year, in conclusion, wrapping this up, I'm diving into my thoughts. I encourage you to do that. I'm diving into my feelings, have conversations, no private thoughts, no people pleasing. Share with people. Like I'm a little concerned to share like my true thoughts with my wife and my family because I think it would hurt their feelings, make them scared. So here I'm on video sharing my thoughts with people I probably haven't ever met, but hope to and connect with. And I just want you to know that it's all working out and that there are no accidents. And it can be very scary if you do it on your own. And when I mean on your own, not just with not other people, but like that you feel like you have the answers and you've got it figured out. What I'm talking about is you don't have to do it alone because there's guidance. You can call it the Holy Spirit. You can call it intuition, spirit guides. I just call it spirit, but I just hand it all over to spirit over and over. Guide me, spirit. I have this perceived problem. Here you go, spirit. Highest and best, way to work through that. And then I don't have to have the pressure of knowing. I don't know. That's one of the biggest things I've realized is like my knowing has made this world. My knowing has caused the problems, has caused the pain, has caused the stress because I think I know. And then I don't. I'm hiding this guilt. I'm hiding these fears, which then just get projected out into the world. And as I let go of knowing, as I give everything over to spirit, I'm joining my will with God's will. And there's no difference in that. And I don't need a certain outcome to happen, to be happy, to be peaceful, to be joyful. I don't need conditions to go the way I think they should go before I feel safe. And that's a huge step. And I say that I'm getting better at it. I don't experience that all the time. There's a lot of times like, I'm complaining about something, judging something, which is my reminder of like, oh, you're buying into it. You actually think that's real. That's the separation. That's the ego wanting to think like that you have the answers. And then it causes the problem again, round and round. So as I give it to Spirit, everything, I get to just come from love. I get to come from non-judgment. I get to come from oneness and allow the experiences to unfold. And then I give. My mind is focused as much as I can remember on giving, because I'm starting to understand what I give is what I'm giving to myself. And that's not, when I first heard that concept, that sounded selfish, like, oh, you're just giving to get. And that's not. It's giving because that's the realization of what I am. And as I give, I get to understand my abundance. I get to receive my abundance. I get to be that which I am and know it. You can't have what you don't have to give, right? So, in order to give, you have to have it. And it's the same thing. So what do I want? I focus on giving them. I want love. I want joy. I want peace. And my mind constantly reminds myself, don't get caught up in the vaccines and the COVID and the new, more contagious, viruses that are coming about. Like, I just can observe most of the time and laugh and giggle. And that in that moment experience joy without needing anything else to happen. It's an interesting feeling. I definitely feel at times I'm losing my mind. And that doesn't mean I feel like I'm going crazy. It means I'm letting go of who I used to think I was and allowing the truth of who I really am come back into existence, and realizing the idea that I ever experienced pain or fear, sickness, didn't need to happen. So anyway, hopefully in this video today, you can relate, and that I've given you nuggets of what I'm working on that help you work through too. I would love to hear comments. You can, love likes, subscribe to my channel, go to my website if you haven't looked at that yet. Join the 1 Minute Wall to show that you believe in oneness and that you're part of this movement. And you can sign up for my newsletter, and I will. I haven't done it yet, but here before long, as I get more stuff, I'll do a weekly newsletter to share the latest happenings with the 1 Minute. So it's all working out perfectly. All is well. Don't feel like you have to have the answers. Give them over to Spirit. Get that guidance. It's if you're seeking, if you feel like something's missing, if you know there's more to life, this is the answer. It's the absolute answer. You are one. We are love. Much love. Talk to you soon.